Everyone, so here is my first video of doing basic HR stuff with AI, and we're going to keep this one pretty quick and dirty. So, as some background, in HR, we're often training on a number of different things. So, usually we want to use fake data so we're not exposing any information of our employees and or their families to whoever we're training in that particular target audience. So you could create your own, but no one's got time for that. But you can use AI programs to help create fake data for you that you can use for various use cases, and it can often get you pretty close to even the final format that you need to use. So I actually need to create some fake data for the AI videos I'll be creating for you guys in future videos. So my first video is actually going to be to use Copilot to create that data. So I'm going to ask it generate some data for me for some fake resumes. So here you won't see me typing out, I'm going to copy and paste my prompts in here so you don't have to suffer through my typing and typos, and we'll get our quick results here. So let's drop our first prompt in here and see what we get. All right, so our results are coming in. We get some high level information. I can look there, we can see that, yep, it is in fact right now 7 resumes, but it's still working on getting to those 10 resumes I've asked it to produce. But as you look at it, I don't know what your experience is with resumes, but these aren't necessarily very robust to me. So, one of the things I will point out, not necessarily Copilot's fault, didn't use the greatest prompt up here, but I'll stress again, you don't have to get caught up in the perfect questions. Of course, there is prompt engineering. It's definitely important. You can pick that up as you get better, but you can also just continue to refine your prompts and add more onto it to get a little bit closer to what it is that you're actually looking for. So we're going to ask it to include more work experience in these resumes here. Sometimes it's just 1 or 2 jobs, may or may not go back a good number of years. In HR, obviously, we like to use 7 years a lot at least. So we're just going to ask it to get a little bit deeper into what it's already added here. So the way I am going to phrase this, we'll drop this here in the prompt, because the AI programs are doing a little bit better with remembering what you've been talking about in that particular chat. So I'm asking to keep what we've already got, but recreate them with each person having at least 5 work experiences. So we'll get a little bit more consistency, and we'll see something a little bit more robust there for each person's particular resume. So I'm going to list that out. And we can see here that it is recreating the same folks. So we got Jessica Hayes again and Marcus Chen and etc. Got all the info in there that we had before, but now we've at least got more work experience there to go along with the other information. And of course, it's continuing on and still working on getting the resume number 10, but still doesn't quite hit everything that we're often seeing on a resume, right? So it's got the work experience. We don't really have anything there about what they actually did in those particular roles, what those accomplishments were. So I think we want to take another swipe at recreating this information. So I'm going to ask it again to go back, recreate the information that it just shared again this last time, but we're going to ask it to create a couple of fake accomplishments for each of those work experiences that it got. So I'm going to drop that in there, see what we get. Okay, so obviously these still leave a little bit to be desired if we want to get really technical about what a real resume looks like, but we're starting to get more realistic here, right? So each person's got some experience going back, often, in some of these cases 10 years. Still got the information that we wanted before listed there, but it is now including some actually pretty smart accomplishments in each of the roles, where it's talking about specific measures, what things that they accomplished in each of those roles. So I'm going to say for right now, this is actually going to get me where I need to go with my particular training exercise and what I'm able to do here. So I'm using my own personal computer here. It's important to note. So I'm working with the Copilot that is on that computer, and would be on many of y'all's personal computers. If you're working with Copilot version that is enterprise that may come from your company, these options of how to get the data out are going to be a little bit different. So just want to call that out here. It's taking me into a particular page, but I can export all these resumes into a page, and then what I'm going to do going forward, it won't make you all sit through that in his call, is to export each of those onto a separate page and put them in a PDF document I'll use for another exercise down the road. But where I will end this call is actually just to talk a little bit about, what do you actually what are some additional things that you could use it for? Just imagine, like, do you need to create an Excel file with fake employee data? It can do that as well. I've tested it out, so there's a ton of different options you could use it for in this space, to help you save some time in creating fake employee data for any training exercises that you need to complete.